It's Dalton, and welcome to my show. Today, on the Dalton Talk Show, we will be recalling fond memories of the days of old with the Nintendo Entertainment System. You know, I was looking at my Nintendo 64, and, I figured I was like, man, there was a lot of Nintendo crap that I had growing up, and I wanted to make a video trying to remember, like, everything Nintendo was that's happened in my life. I'll tell you something, folks, this may be a dang hard one, because I'm gonna have to be recalling lots of Nintendo memories. We'll see if I can remember all of it. So if I, correctly, if my memory serves me correct, the first time I had a Nintendo was probably like 1997 or 8 maybe. And it was, my pap gave me a regular Nintendo that he got at a flea market. Now this thing had seen some better days, folks. I don't know when the hell that thing came out, but it looked like it had been through, like the World War II or something. Because it was already like, the color on it was already discolored and stuff. And I think they started gray, but this one was like an orangish gray with some smudges. But I'll tell you something, folks, that sucker still worked. Not every time. Some of the times we would get some of them Nintendo tapes from the flea market for that thing. I believe they call it the NES, and it stands for Nintendo Entertainment System. Well, Pap would get us some tapes for that thing from the flea market, and every now and again, if we was up at their house for the weekend, we'd be able to pick which ones he got for us. But then other than that, sometimes he'd just grab some that he thought we'd like. Me and my brother. So that dang Nintendo didn't always work playing them games. But there was a beautiful remedy to the situation, folks. And that remedy was cleaning out them tapes with this kit that my pap had. It was some kind of like card that you put some liquid on and you ran it under that. We got a copy of Bayou Billy over here, folks. I'm gonna give you an example. So this is one of them tapes we got at the flea market years ago. It's called Bayou Billy. And in Bayou Billy, you are Billy. And you navigate the swamps of maybe like you're with Louisiana or something like that. And you gotta overcome the struggles of like crocodiles and like guys with jeeps and stuff or something. So basically that, staying on track, it was this card. And they got this sensor down here, just like the Nintendo 64. This card had like a fuzzy thing at the bottom of it. You put the liquid on, ran it on one side of this, flipped the sucker over, and you ran it on the other side as well. And then about 8 times out of maybe 15, well, maybe 8 real big place where you could buy used stuff. Like a big old warehouse full of used crap. So we got that Nintendo. We played games like Bayou Billy. Games like Mega Man. You know, there was a pirate game. Can't remember what that was called. We had a Bart Simpson game. Battletoads. And that was the first Nintendo thing that we had, I believe. Now, next. You know, the next thing I remember was getting the Game Boy like a year or two later. And that was the original Game Boy. Now that thing was like from the flea market as well, I believe. And the gray was turning yellow. But that thing worked with you know, all the games that I put in it, if I remember right. Now the first game I got on that was Dragonheart. You know, my brother got the game Killer Instinct. And I kind of liked that Killer Instinct game better than the Dragonheart. Because the Dragonheart was like one of them MMORPGs or something like that. And I ain't never played one of them when I was that young. So I remember like stepping through the forest in that game and could never find anything. So I don't think I ever got that far in that game, the Dragonheart. But then, you know, I believe it was shortly after when I still owned. Well, so I forgot, folks, somewhere between that time period we got the Super Nintendo. And on that thing we had Krusty's. It was like Krusty's Warehouse or something. It was a Simpsons game, folks. You know, where I had to like, all these mice or something got loose. And you had to direct the mice into these tubes and get them in the right room. And you played as Krusty the Clown. And you're jumping all across the dang factory, trying to guide all these mice or rabbits or some crap into the right room. And then we had the Donkey Kong Country. Played that game all the time. That was a real good one. Yeah, I don't remember if we ever beat that game. But I'll tell you, we put a lot of time into that sucker. And one of the hardest levels that I ever played was the mine shaft level in Donkey Kong Country. You know, it was so hard to not fall down the cliff in that or get hit by like a bee or a gopher. They had the bumblebees in the mine shafts in that game. And if you hit one of them bumblebees, well, it's game over. Because I suppose the natural enemy of the ape is one of them dang bees. You know, another good game we got for the Super Nintendo was Super Mario Land. That's a good one. And it's been a long time, and I can't really remember the exact times and years that we got the specific games. Because I was a real young kid we said, alright, we better agree on something because we can't go another second without playing, like Donkey Kong Country or Mario. Folks, I believe it was shortly later on that we got Pokemon. And I think I was in 2nd grade when I got that. So I would have been like 9 years old or something. Or 8 years old. Hold on. Yeah, 8 years old when I got Pokemon Blue version. And that was a real big deal, let me tell you folks. That their Blue version was one of the best games I've ever played. And I had heard about the game Pokemon from this kid at recess. He was about a grade or two bigger than my grade, but he didn't really have any friends, so he would come and talk to me sometimes on the playground. He said, I got this Pokemon game where you can capture these creatures in a bowl. And I remember thinking about hamsters. And I was like, well, them hamsters run around in the bowls too. I wonder if that's, like, they look like hamsters. He said, you run around the world and you gotta fight the creatures and then you catch them in the bowl. And you can fight other creatures with them creatures if you throw the bowl. And they got these abilities and attacks, and you can heal them. And I, was thinking, and really like taking all that information in. And I was real excited to get my hands on that game. I haven't thought about this stuff in a while. So I'm trying to remember that was when the same year, like a few months before I had got the Blue version. And I think I'd mentioned it to my mom, but I said, hey, there's this game Pokemon, so if I could get like an early Christmas or a birthday or whatever that, heck you want it, because I want that Pokemon game. And then sure enough, finally, I think we got it for an early Christmas present. And, we played that game all the time. But I didn't have the Game Boy Color yet. And if I, recall, I got that Pokemon Blue version, I brought it to school. And, we was all like sitting there playing it. And the teacher was like, hey, you better stop distracting everybody with the Pokemon game. Nobody wants to learn about these books anymore because you got the Pikachu, that they're interested about. And I was so excited that everyone wanted to see my Pokemon game. Because, not that many people had it yet. It was like a brand new kind of thing. So that game served me well when we had a lot of great times trading them son-of-a-gun monsters. And doing battles and collecting 150 of them, originally. Folks, a little bit later on, I believe in 4th grade. So when I was about 10 years old, we finally got a Nintendo 64. And we had wanted that Nintendo 64 for a while. And I can remember that back in kindergarten, this kid named George, who was my friend, used to talk to me about Super Mario 64. And then all the time he would say you can swim in this game and these levels, and you can jump in volcanoes, and there's Princess Peach. And then we got one of the girls in our, class to play Princess Peach. And I was Mario, and George was Bowser. And I was like, man, I really want that dang game. It sounds so cool. And if I can't have the game, then, well, we're just gonna have to play it in real life, like act it out or whatever, we like had Legos and pretended they was the castle and stuff. But when we finally got that Nintendo 64, it was off the internet. Dang it, and it was used. And it came with a few games. I think it was a Super Mario 64. And not Turok, or I think I got Turok later. So it was Super Mario. It was not Super Smash. But it came with a few of them. It came with a controller, like a gray one. Expansion pack. Super Mario 64. And a few other games that I can't remember. Not James Bond. They were ones I didn't really care about, I think. But I did care a lot about the Super Mario 64. So we had a lot of good times playing that. Played that Mario game, and we played Turok 1, Turok 2. We played Super Smash Brothers 64. And when that game came out, it was the next level of fun and games. We would play it all the time, and people would they would pause the game when they were getting their butt whooped. They'd be like, I accidentally paused it. And they would think that them pausing it would confuse you and make you not as good at the game. And then we'd be getting into arguments. Be like, how the heck are you so good with Yoshi? He's the pieces of crap character in the game. And Jigglypuff. Some people was real good with Jigglypuff. And you could play up to 4 players, and we had lots of sleepovers playing that dang Super Smash Brothers game. And them were the days. Didn't have to work at a piece of crap job and worry about paying for crap. You just had to worry about if there was enough Mountain Dew left in the 2-liter in the fridge. And if if there was still a few slices of pizza left, and what your homework was gonna be that next week. But I'll tell you, them were some good dang times, folks. Well, anyway, so Nintendo 64. And at some point we had gotten the Game Boy Color. Played the Pokemon games on that, like Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Gold. Then came the Game Boy Advance. And I got me one of them purple ones, I think. With, it came with Mario on the launch title or something. Played that all the time. And when the Game Boy XP or SP came out with the backlit screen, and you didn't have to hunch under a dang like a lamp to be able to see the game. That was the best thing ever. used to use a reading light on my Game Boys, and I would like tape it to the side of it, because I didn't have like a visual light. I had to tape it onto the side and play. And like late at night when you was supposed to be sleeping, well, we were, logging in some Pokemon hours, like, you're gonna have the cover over you so the light don't go under the door, so you don't get in trouble. But then, what else did we get? Nintendo was a lot of memories, a lot of like info to remember. We never got the Wii. I don't think we never got the Nintendo Wii. But we did get GameCube. That was a big, like a real big thing, because Resident Evil remake came out on that GameCube. And my friend got the GameCube. That was 5th grade. So I was like 11. My friend got the GameCube, and he rented that there Resident Evil game remake. And I played that Resident Evil back in the day, and number 2 and number 3 and all of that. So when I seen them real good graphics on that GameCube, man, I was like, I had to have that. And I'll tell you something, we used a lot of birthdays and Christmases and all that, and saving up allowance, and used it all on video games. When I finally got the GameCube, it was a black GameCube. Got the Resident Evil game with a, I think it came with a black controller. Had to get me a dang memory card, because if you don't, I'll tell you something, you ain't gonna be able to save the dang game. And that ain't no good in cold, wet weather. So you gotta be able to save the game. When I played the PlayStation, we didn't have a memory card, so you had to restart. And you never got far because you had to replay it. And we weren't allowed to keep it turned on all the time. The Super Smash Bros. Melee came out on the GameCube, and we was playing that all the time. When that Melee game came out, it was like a big old step up from the Smash Brothers original one. All the kids from the neighborhood would flock around and play that game. And one of the characters, to get one of them characters, you had to have like a certain amount of hours in like multiplayer or something. So you get into the multiplayer match, you pause the game, and you let it sit for a day or two, and then you got that character, but I can't remember which one it was. Might have been Marv. He's like an anime sort guy with the cool hair, spiked all around or something like that. Man, so many good games came out, and like so many systems, and they was always coming out. They was always coming out with new Game Boys. Like when the DS came out, I got one of them. I think that was when I was 15. And I got the Super Mario 64 DS. And I played that a lot, because it was the same as the Nintendo one, but you could be like 3 other characters. You could be like Wario, Yoshi, Luigi. And I think that was it. Don't know if I ever beat that one though. there's so many of them that it's hard to beat all of them. And that was always my problem, was saying like, oh, there's all this game over here, now there's that game, now there's this one down here. We gotta get all of them and we gotta play them all. But then you can't beat all of them because you ain't got enough time. And you know, when you grow up, you especially ain't got enough time to be playing all of them games. Unless you're one of them YouTube people that does it full time, like PewDiePie, or like a Markiplier, or one of them streamers. You know, that they get to play all them games, and they get like thousands of bucks donated, and they're like billionaires getting, you know, playing Mario, but people's throwing them $1,000 and saying, keep playing Mario. And they're like, alright, thanks for, you know, paying my mortgage. We'll keep playing Mario for another 20 hours in a row. And we ain't gonna sleep. We're doing a Twitch marathon. So then later, there's a lot of crap that I probably missed. And folks, this video would be like 3 hours if we talked about every single thing. But you know, the DS, and then later never got the Wii. Never got the Wii U, but I had a friend that had it. Never got the Switch, but I know some people that got them Switches. Really like that Switch. I like the Breath of the Wild game. You know, and the, well, folks, they got that Zelda game, Zelda Link's Awakening, coming out on the Switch. And folks, I may just have to get me one of them Switches to get that game, because that stuff is real good. After the GameCube, I don't think that I bought a DS, then later I got that there 3DS XL, but I don't got that anymore. A lot of my old games and stuff, you know, I got rid of because, well, I just ain't got room for all the stuff. You know, if I was someone who was living in some nice, modest house, we had a basement and a bunch of room for all this crap, maybe then I would have like a collection. But folks, we ain't got enough room for that crap. And it's bittersweet to get rid of all that stuff that I grew up playing, you know. If any of you guys got some memories of the Nintendo, well, you can log them in down below with a comment if you feel so inclined, because I would love to hear your Nintendo memories. Did you play the Smash Brothers? Did you play the Turok? Now folks, there was an interesting game on the Nintendo 64, and it was called Body Harvest. And it was like an open sandbox where you could even drive cars, and this was before GTA. You'd be driving the car, and then out of nowhere the aliens came down, and you said, well, listen, I ain't got time for that, so you keep driving because you're in the car. And there was like lots of locked doors, if I remember, in that game. Like, you go to the houses and they're all there, but you can't get in none of them. But a pretty cool game. You're like a space soldier, but you're on the Earth. And you could drive cars before that Grand Theft Auto. Well, folks, them were some of the Nintendo memories basically I just got it from the skin of my butt. Like I convinced my parents that it was only mature rated because they swore a little bit. But if you ever played that game, well, there's a little bit more than swearing that goes on in that game. But it looks like a cartoon, so that worked out in my favor. I was able to get that game, and I believe that could be my favorite Nintendo 64 game of all time. I believe I could say that absolutely. I think it's the funniest game I ever played in my life. And like, you know, there are all these crazy characters in it. Like a drunk bumblebee and a drunk scarecrow, and like a big guy's made out of crap, and like a funny Grim Reaper with a high voice. And if you ain't never played it, well folks, you gotta play that game. And that's the funniest thing I ever seen in my life, that game, absolutely. You know, they got that soundtrack on vinyl, and I ain't got me one of them record players. But I was like thinking about getting that soundtrack because it's real good. And, you know, maybe getting me one of them vinyl players down the line or something. But, well, speaking of crazy characters, folks, we got, you know, some videos coming up down the line. You know, that we'll be doing all kinds of cool stuff. So thanks a lot for watching. And I hope you're all doing real well out in that crazy open world that is the real world. You know, sometimes it seems like an open world game, but it ain't no game, it's the real thing, folks. You know, time keeps on moving by. And that's all there is to it, folks. You know, I'm gonna try to think of a good quote to end this video with. Let me think about it. Well, it ain't a quote, but it's like an antidote or one of them damn things you call, yeah, like an antidote, I think it's called. They said that the video games rot your brain and aren't good for you. But the same people who were saying that are watching Netflix for 9 hours, Stranger Things Season 3 binge. But they ain't nothing's wrong with that. But if you're playing a video game, it's the worst thing ever for your brain. But the Netflix ain't. How about that, folks? Folks, thanks a lot for watching. It's gonna be Dalton out. And we will see you shortly for a new video. Hope you liked the Nintendo memories. I sure liked